Hey there everyone, it's me, Safari Sam, and today I'm going to show you what I feed all my critters in our newest Safari Sam full menagerie video. Here's Sal, our juvenile crested gecko, and they kinda just woke up. I didn't wake them up, it's the middle of the night, but I did turn their light on, which I don't think they liked, but I think they'll like what we're about to give them, and that is a bug. Yeah, so there will be a little feeding in this, but Sal here usually doesn't get bugs, at least not every day. Sal gets some of this about every other day, Pangea gecko diet with figs and insects, so I don't super need to feed live insects all the time, but Sal is kind of a picky eater and doesn't always eat a lot of this, but they won't eat any that's not this specific flavour. There's a lot of gecko species that can eat this, but this is Sal's favourite flavour of crested gecko diet. And luckily it has good insect protein in it, as well as the fruit stuff they always need. Now this vivarium here is called the ranch. Why am I showing you this? Well, this is where pets and feeders live. Like if I get a bunch of crickets that I'm going to use as feeders, I'll often toss the crickets in here. But also there is a spider that lives in here that will eat some of the crickets. In this log is the rancher, one of our 2 female giant crevice weavers, aka black hole spiders, aka southern house spider. They have many names. Anyway, she lives in there. In the last video she was in, by the way, we tried to feed her and she wouldn't eat. And I don't know if I mentioned in the vid, but my first thought was, oh, she's probably molting, because normally she comes right for it. And I shined a light in there very soon after that video was filmed. And yes, she had molted. They like to hold on to their molts. I don't know if they chew on them or anything to get the calcium back, like other insects do, but yes. So I let a lot of feeders breed in here. There's a couple dubias crawling around, not many. There's just a couple left over in there, but there's also a lot of mealworms in the soil, which was a pretty recent video of ours. As you can see, we have some darkling beetles in here for meal and superworms, and they kind of just have the babies, and the babies can turn into more of these beetles. Sometimes the spiders I'll feed beetles to if I get excessive amounts of them, but that hasn't happened in a while. Quite a while, actually. Oh, that's my finger, bud. So while the spider that lives in the log will eat darkling beetles, crickets, dubia roaches, and isopods, the other critters in here also need their own things to eat before I can feed them to Sal, because they need to be made into good, healthy receptacles of vitamins and nutrients, or vitamins if you want to pronounce it correctly. So, even though I don't feed Sal the beetles, Sal does eat the mealworms. Not often. Mealworms are a rare treat for Sal because they can cause impaction if you eat them too often. So Sal mostly eats dubias, crickets, and softer shell isopods like my powdered oranges. Sal has powdered oranges that live in his vivarium, and I've seen him eat them as snacks. I've witnessed it. So maybe I should take some from my colony and give them to Sal. But the things that I feed these critters are very interesting. They eat a lot of detritus, aka dead things, so I eat an apple pretty much every day. The apple core goes right in. Typically after, I'll leave it for a day. If I leave it any longer, it'll mold, which isn't good, but there are springtails in there that can help with that. And I'll show you my springtail colony and everything they eat soon. The darkling beetles eat detritus, like this leaf litter and whatnot. They'll eat that, and etc. And there's oatmeal in here. Dry, uncooked, unwet oatmeal under the soil. And the mealworms eat a lot of that. That's a very normal thing for the mealworms to eat. I just wanted them to have something a bit more natural. And, you know, dubias will also eat a lot of the detritus. There's only like 1 or 2 little dubias in here that just got away from the spider. That's it. I just see them pop up every now and then. But the crickets will often eat the moss here. The crickets really like to eat the moss. But there is another thing that I always put in here. Bug grub. This bug grub is from the Bio Dude. It's a premium insect gut load. It makes your insects very healthy so that the reptiles that eat them are also very healthy. I give this to pretty much every arthropod that I have, whether it's a feeder or not, right? So let's see here. There's a lot of little you can't see them all, but there's a lot of little critters in here right now. I'll put some out and about, you know, all around. It does get eaten pretty quick, but I'll also put some under the cork bark because that's where a lot of these critters go. Yeah, there's some darkling beetles under here that just got dusted, unfortunately. But yeah, you know, that bug grub, they'll eat it right up and it will make them very healthy. There's a lot more mealworms living in here than you'd think. I just randomly stuck this in the dirt, pinched and pulled it out, and there were already 2 little mealworms right there, 2 little fatties. One I'm gonna throw back, but the other, yoink, that one is going to Sal. I give him a tiny bit of insects once or twice a week, just to keep those hunting instincts sharp, and it's kind of an intimate bonding thing we do. He'll often jump in my hand to eat them, sometimes he won't, since I kind of am disturbing him for this video a little later than usual. I'm not going to make him do the song and dance of jumping in my hand, but I am just going to dust this guy lightly in calcium to help him get his calcium. He doesn't get enough calcium here in captivity. Since he has UV light, UVB specifically, he needs calcium without D3 so he doesn't overdose. But we do have some things coming soon that will need it with the D3. Now, we've dipped our mealworm in calcium. Let's see if we can get Sal to take it. Hey, big friend, you see this? You recognize this? Oh, he's coming. Oh, Jesus! He wanted that, Christ! Yeah, chew it up, Sal. All yours. Wow. Jeez, bud, you act like you're starving. Yeah, not all crested geckos are going to go as hard for insects as Sal does. A lot of them kind of seem scared of live feeders, but Sal has always been very, very receptive to live feeders, even when he was teeny tiny when we first got him, which is a video you can watch. It should already be live. But yes, Sal has always been very receptive to live feeders, doing that cute little gecko lick. Oh my god, he's so cute, I could die. But yeah, he's grown a lot since we last got him, and part of that is all the protein he gets from live feeders. And I do love tongue feeding. As you can see, it's a very rewarding experience, and he's just a great little guy. But now, we have a lot more feeders to show you. And here in our critter closet, trademarked, we have all of these bins, and these are all isopods and more. Yeah, more than just isopods. But yes, many bins, and I'm going to show you each and every one of these bins and what we feed all of them. As you can see, some of them have a little something extra inside. The first bin would be the Porcellonidae prunosis orange powder isopods. This was our most successful colony for a while. There's not as many in it right now because they've been used as cleanup crews and as feeders and etc. These little guys have been bouncing back, however. You can see there's not a lot of them here on the surface, but they're coming up. See that thing in there, by the way, these clear things? That is snake skin. Those are the belly scales. They seem to have trouble eating the belly scales, but snake skin is a great snack for them, full of calcium. So one thing I like to do for all my isopod colonies is when an arthropod, like this superworm, has a shed, you see it molted, you put the molt right in there and they will devour that thing. They will absolutely destroy it. You also got to make sure to keep a lot of decaying plant matter in here. I actually need to add more to this one, but also a little bug grub. Never hurt anybody. It's really good for them, so I'm adding it to help them bounce back. Now here we have some of our favourite isopods, Porcellio exalavis dairy cow isopods. These are some of my favorites to keep. Porcelo X laevis will be my favorite species to keep probably. They really make a lot of them. These aren't the best feeders for my gecko because they are a little hard and they can nip, so they don't make a great cleanup crew. I mean, they make a great cleanup crew, but you don't want someone nipping your gecko, do you? Anyway, they're usually crawling everywhere. They must be tired. Let's see if we flip this cork back. Oh yeah, there's tons of these puppies. Just absolutely tons of them. This is actually kind of light. Probably because it's late. I don't know. But there's not too terribly many out and about. They're normally all over the place. Especially after you give it a little misting. I misted the moss side the heaviest and then just a little spritz across the rest. But there are many things they eat. Bug grub. I also like to boil organic carrots for all my detritivores and stuff. Pretty much anything I have that eats vegetables, boiling organic carrots is good. See, I told you they crawl out of the wood buck once you spray that water in there. There's a lot of them under the moss, I guarantee it. But there's other stuff I feed them too. Believe it or not, I have fed them fish food that I didn't have to give to any fish. I didn't have fish to give it to, I mean. But also, shrimp food. I hate to announce it this way, but we don't keep Neocardinia shrimp and aquatic snails anymore. We had to get rid of them for the new apartment, unfortunately. So, I have this shrimp food that I'm not using for anything, but you know who likes it? My isopods. So I'm going to give them a little bit of it seasoned into their enclosure here, and we'll call it a night for them. Now this bin houses our Porcelo laevis white morph isopods. This one is also kind of in a bounce back. I use these as spider feeders. My spiders love them. Pop it open, but there's someone else in here. Hey fellas. Yeah, I moved my African hissing cockroaches into this enclosure simply because I wanted to make more room. Plus to the Tridivore den, which is what I decided to call what they were living in, I want to make for something else, something that'll be a bit better as a display creature. These guys though, I actually think are much happier in this enclosure because it's darker and everything. I think they're actually much happier in here. They're much more active and they hide far less than they did in the Tridivore den. Also, when I got them, I mentioned it was odd that they appeared female even though they were sold as feeders. A couple molts later, look at that. It now appears that they are males. You can see their little horny bumps on their heads. So yeah, I know there's other ways to sex them, but the way I know is the horns on the head, so that's that. You know, they often hide in this little log too. But yeah, this is where the white morphs are, and what's great is when these puppies shed, the isopods and they themselves eat the shed. They eat it to get some calcium back, and the isopods also eat it for calcium. So they actually cohabitate great together, especially since they have similar diets and similar care needs. All my isopods, of course, need detritus, and so do these puppies. They need that dead stuff to eat. But you know what my cockroaches love? What's like their favorite food? This old turtle food. From when I had a turtle years ago, I never got rid of it. It's got calcium and vitamin C. They love these. The roaches eat these up. And the isopods like them too. So we're going to give them to some of these puppies. Oh yeah, they're gonna love it. Normally what I like to do is like put them all around, some in each corner and stuff, but today we're just going to do a little sprinkle just to get it done quick. And then also a pinch of bug grub just for good measure. And here's our last isopod vid, the Porcelo X laevis milkback isopods. These are the same genus and species as the dairy cows, but a different morph, so they look different. I will show them to you. This is probably my most successful colony right now, my biggest colony. Oh, yeah, that's a big colony. They get big too. They're really beautiful greys, and they often have like these milky white centers. Mine, as they breed, have been getting a darker grey, I've noticed, which is very interesting. There's a big milky back one. Anyway, let's put it down. Yeah, that's the smallest one. By the way, that's the smallest corkbark. So you can only imagine how many are under the big one. But that's not what we're here to do. We are here to feed them. They will eat everything the other isopods eat. Really, all these isopods will eat the same thing. But in addition to being a video about what I feed everything, there's also a video where I show you everything. But another thing that my isopods will eat is whatever my other animals don't. For example, Sal gets a fruit paste. Remember, he eats Pangea? But he doesn't always eat all of it. See, there's a tiny bit left in this bowl. I've been letting it sit out for days. I swapped the bowls, let it dry a little. I sprayed it a bit. But yeah, they will eat this uneaten crested gecko diet. Then they love it. Of course, this very tiny piece of uneaten crested gecko diet isn't going to be enough for the whole colony. But that just means I can give them a little bug grub all over, and they'll be fine. And hey, do you remember those snails we said we'd make videos for, and then we kind of made 2 enclosure making videos and never showed you any of the snails? Well, that's what's in here! There's actually kind of an announcement for what kind of snail they are, because, you know, Biba pisana, white garden snails, yes. They eat a lot of detritus as well, you know. There's a snail right there, kind of huddled up. Normally this time of night they're very active. I think it's because I have the closet light on and I'm making a lot of noise. But yeah, you can see one, there's 3 in there, one kind of huddled up there. I might actually end up taking them out of here and putting them in one of the isopod bins, because I've heard they can cohabit very well with isopods and other detritivores. But yeah, there's a snail right there. And I know what you're thinking, this glass is really dirty. And it is. I need to wipe it down. I'll probably do it tomorrow, because I am kind of planning to move these guys out of this enclosure into the isopod enclosure, or just sell them, honestly, to someone in the state of Georgia with residency, because it's illegal to ship them across state lines. Anyhow, yeah, the poops, they poop a lot. I just knock the poops into the substrate because there's springtails in there that eat them. But yeah, these guys also eat a lot. You know, they eat detritus, they eat moss, but they eat some other things as well. My white garden snails all get this pet snail food about every other day. It's basically the same as crested gecko diet, but instead of being fruit-based, it's vegetable-based, and it's for snails, not geckos. You just kind of mix it into water, and I had a food bowl in there. But over time I realised it was better without the food bowl. Yeah, the food bowl I was having to take out all the time and clean it so it wouldn't get mouldy. But I have springtails in there. A lot of springtails. They're kind of thriving in there. I don't know if you noticed any, but I did. So, I kind of just dump it on the ground now. And whatever the snail doesn't eat, the springtails do. And let me tell you, springtails go crazy for this stuff. And right here we have one of my most successful colonies, my springtail colony. Yeah, these are the springtails I'm breeding, just in case I need to throw any in a bioactive or whatnot, or just use them as very, very tiny feeders for something. You can see there's tons of little white dots swarming around. Those are the springtails. Yeah, you see that kind of tannish dot right there? That's some uneaten crested gecko diet that I gave them, but they don't eat that nearly as quickly as they eat the snail food. In fact, the snail food, this has become my main feeder for springtails. That's how crazy they go for it. This is excellent springtail food. Yeah, so that and uneaten crested gecko diet, which you can see them currently swarming, is really what they prefer the most, which is great. And that's it, everyone. That is our current critter closet. Yeah, not all our critters live in the closet. Sal's only in the closet right now because he needs a new stand, because the one that his terrarium was on wasn't going well. We had him on the desk, that didn't work out. We had him on a stand, that didn't work out. He just needs a taller stand because of the last critter. Naughty cat. This little nightmare needs to be Honestly, just disciplined. She does not leave Sal alone if she can reach him. Which is why we have to get him a taller thing, because I don't want her stressing him out. But she's the animal we've had the longest. It's not like we're just going to get rid of her. We love Naughty Cat. It's true. But Christ, girl, you make things difficult for me sometimes. Luckily, the closet's actually working out, because some of the animals in here needed a little warmer than we typically keep it, especially one we're about to get. A new gecko. Hopefully that video will be up soon. I'm not showing him in this because I don't have them yet. But it'll be revealed soon. But that's it for this video about everything we feed all our critters. As you can see, we have a bit of a circle of life thing going on here. You know, we feed a lot of detritus and stuff to our isopods and stuff, and then the isopods and the mealworms and things that we feed go on to feed Sal. You know, they were feeding Big Chap. I'm sure you noticed he's not in this video. One day, when I'm more comfortable with it, we'll make a video talking about why we don't have Big Chap anymore. It's actually a very sad story, and I don't super want to get into it now. But we'll get there. So we don't have Big Chap anymore, because one of the reasons we bred so many feeders is because he ate so damn much. But now we just have Sal, but luckily we have more geckos coming. But we kind of have a circle of life thing, you know? Sal eats the bugs, then he poops, and his poops feed the bugs, and anything he doesn't eat feeds the bugs, and when I trim his plants, which are fed by the poops of the bugs that eat his uneaten stuff, they eat those trimmed leaves. It really is a circle of life thing, you know? It really is, and I'm very proud of how far this channel has come with live animals, and I'm very proud of all my colonies and my single critters and everything. So that is it. Thank you all once again for your support, and to top it all off, I'm going to show you one more feeding. Feeding Miracle, the black hole spider. Now, I haven't been feeding Miracle as much recently because her bussy is just so damn huge, and I'm like, she looks full, right? But she's not full because I haven't fed her in like a week. I really hope she's not pregnant. I know I said I'd love to breed these spiders one day, but in this little apartment, I don't think that's an option. Yeah, but we're going to go ahead and feed her anyway since it's been a while. Now, I just poked my head into a milkback colony, and they are swarming the food we gave them. And now it's time for them to fulfill their role in the circle of life. Isn't that right, little milkback? I'm sorry about this, but it must be done. I put her cover back on in the back. That usually makes her more secure and more likely to come out and eat. Oh Christ, he's going in the den. Where are you going? Oh. Well, he wiggled his way into the lair of the beast, I see. I wonder if she'll get him in there. Well, she moved, but she missed the little guy. How odd. Well, I hope that's not too anticlimactic. That little milkback is her dinner, and she kind of fumbled it. I wonder if it's shedding time already. Oh well. Anyways, that's kind of it for now, everyone. Look at him. He's trying to crawl up there to her. It's right there in front of you, girl. Come on. Come on, even Naughty Cat's like, hey, why don't you do stuff? It's alright. I normally feed her in a darker closet. Maybe that has something to do with it. It is a little bright for her, I suppose. But there are videos of us feeding her, including a dedicated feeding video and stuff on here. So thank you all very much for your support. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. as in are. And I'll see you all next time with our new gecko, hopefully. Bye for now.